A note. Following advice from work-life imbalance may lead to action being taken by HR, your family, the authorities, or higher powers. Welcome to Work-Life Imbalance, an advice show focusing on workplace and lifestyle issues. Any resemblance to actual advice, living or dead, or actual wisdom is purely coincidental. I'm Frank Eastman, Scrum Lord.
And I am your voluptuous co-host, Derek Lewis.
All right, Derek. I think it's about time for the daily stand-up.
Okay.
And today, I wanted to talk about, around the house, we have discovered a new holiday.
Okay. What is this holiday?
This new holiday roughly coincides with Epiphany, which is sort of the Catholic holiday that runs from the 12th day of Christmas, January 6th, through Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday.
Okay. This is completely new to me.
Yes. But so it's a non-religious holiday, however.
Okay.
Completely about the appearance of the king cake.
Okay, as in like when you first spot it in the store?
Yes, when you first spot the first king cake of the year, when it's spotted in the store, because what we've discovered is that we love king cake. We're not necessarily religious. We don't have any religious leanings.
So is the king cake even religious?
The king cake is sort of a religious
I don't want to
item.
dive too deep into it and like put you on the spot for your religious knowledge, but I had no idea that it was even remotely religious.
Well, I mean, in and of itself, the king cake is not it's not a religious baked good.
It's not an icon itself.
Yes, it's not necessarily the cake de Jesus. It is, but it is traditionally eaten during the carnival season.
Right. Okay.
And so the king cakes that we have in this area, which is the southeastern area of the United States, largely they're French Basque, I think, originally in their extraction, and they're all coming from New Orleans, essentially.
Right.
Eating of the king cake, but we love the king cakes, the colors, the delicious.
Yeah, I mean it's very
pastry.
festive. I mean, just a bunch of fucking sugar sprinkles on top of some cinnamon cake. I mean, how can you not love that? I mean, chomping down on a mystery baby is not always the best experience, but other than that, it's pretty good.
But I'm trying to figure out what we should call it, because it's definitely it mirrors a religious festival.
So before we actually start naming it, what are the what are the various trappings of this holiday festivity?
So the trappings of the holiday festivity, is, as far as I can determine, are A, you have found a king cake in the bakery section of your local store. And then the colors are the green, purple, and gold of Southern Mardi Gras.
Okay.
And then something, something surrounding the inedible baby.
Look, okay. I am not entirely sure that an inedible piece of plastic baby is something to, I don't know, make a religious icon of.
Well, I mean, it's a non-religious icon,
right?
Specifically,
that is true. That is true.
Well, I mean, the baby itself, I think, is supposed to represent Jesus.
Okay,
but for our purposes,
so I have a problem with that part specifically because I mean we've talked about me loving cake and food, yada yada yada. So of course I have consumed a number of king cake in my lifetime, but every time I've purchased one or been around one when it was cut fresh, I swear to God, 9 times out of 10, my first bite will have that fucking baby in it. It is this curse. And of course, we don't really do like the, whoever gets the baby has to buy it the next year. I normally just kind of show up when king cake is there. Like I can't really ever like pinpoint who purchased it or whatnot. It's just is in my presence. But no, like, and when I bite it, like I don't like take a bite and see like the hand sticking out. No, like full blown mouthful of baby. That's what I get every single year.
Right in the inedible baby.
Yes,
exactly.
But the thing is, like, how is that not sacrilegious? Like, thinking back to like what it actually represents and how it plays into the whole Catholic festivities thing. How is that not sacrilegious to have a mouthful of baby Jesus?
I mean, ordinarily I think it is, but in this instance, I think you're already celebrating our non-religious holiday centered around the king cake.
Okay, all right.
The festival of the inedible baby.
The more you say that name, the more I'm taking a shine to it. The festival of the inedible baby.
All right. See, okay. I was hoping we could workshop this out and come to a conclusion on liking festival of the inedible baby. I mean, we've got it's a good month or so that we've got. I mean, it's from January 6th through I think like the second week in February. So you've got a good month.
Yeah.
In which you're getting, king cakes that contain inedible babies.
Right. So it's not exactly like a calendar specific or it's, I guess it is to a specific general range, but it's not really starting on a December 25th like Christmas.
Right. It's when we find the first king cake, cuz it could be that one of the local bakers is getting a jump start on things, and they've got that king cake out on January
1st.
Yeah.
New Year's king cake baby.
Exactly. So, but yeah, this festival of the inedible baby, it's going to start, and it starts for everybody. It's in your heart.
So you could kind of force it to happen by making your own king cake?
You could, if it's in you that it is time for the festival of the inedible baby, you can make a king cake. And thus you've begun the holiday season.
I don't know. Any holiday or whatnot that revolves specifically around a baked product, it's definitely always in me.
For both senses of the word, I suppose.
All right. So holiday of the inedible baby. Everybody added to your calendars sometime between January 5th and when is Mardi Gras?
I forget.
It's a floating date, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the second Tuesday in February.
Okay. So second Tuesday. So we have a floating start and a floating end.
Right.
But either way, there is rings of cinnamon baked goodness with some glitter shit and an inedible baby.
Yep. It's all about that green, the purple, the gold, inedible babies, and king cakes.
And holiday spirit.
Well, yeah, the holiday spirit is, man, I am happy that we get to eat king cake.
That's always something to celebrate, for sure.
Exactly. And we're realizing that is probably a holiday that we get more excited about than most of the other holidays out there.
Okay. That is not something that will find its way on a Hallmark card, so it definitely lends it to be a little bit more genuine.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be found on a Hallmark card, but who knows? I might at some point begin producing Festival of the Inedible Baby cards.
Oh, God. Well, if you do, make sure that I know about it, and I'll order the first pack.
All right. Excellent.
All right. So you want to get into the deep dive of the day?
I think we should get to the deep dive.
All right. Okay. So for the topic today, I want to discuss something that is one of my biggest annoyances in the office, and both in a general sense and more specifically, noise pollution. So
we're not talking about rock and roll.
Well, if you work in some place that produces rock and roll, maybe that's not noise pollution. But if you work in a library and somebody is back there being I don't know, Travis Barker from Blink-182 on the desk, maybe you should say something about it. But no, noise pollution in a general sense being people that can't stop humming to themselves, people that like to drum on the desk, or have like I know I've been guilty of this before, but have a desk fan that has a bearing going out. They should have probably replaced the fan months ago. And so it's...
Are you trying to say something to me,
I
Derek?
promise you I'm not. It's more, I'm more criticizing myself than anyone, because I inflicted folks to that for a while. But yeah, so what type of noises and what level of noise do you think is acceptable in a general workplace?
It's a subject that I haven't thought about too much because we live in an office environment more and more. They're moving to these open office environments, which is just an excuse, to not have to build as many actual walls. And noise pollution has become so completely ubiquitous that I think it is almost equally ubiquitous to have noise canceling headphones at this point.
Yeah, and I totally get that. And maybe I'm the only person left that has an axe to grind about this. But one of the things that gets me really bad is when somebody likes to just tap, just not rhythmically. Like if you're drumming quietly to a song that has some decent fat beats to it, I may not say anything for the first couple of minutes. But
we didn't start the fire.
Yeah, if I hear some Journey tapping, maybe I'll survive long enough for the song to be over. But with Journey, it could be like a 15-minute song, so that may be a problem. But yeah, somebody who just kind of like nothing rhythmic, just kind of taps because they're thinking or something. That just drives me insane. And most of the time, these folks will have on noise canceling headphones. So like they may not hear it. They may not realize that they are hitting an empty metal container that is causing like a 30 decibel ring throughout the office. But to me, it is like gunfire.
See, I think the issue might be that I have already killed and eaten all of those people.
I will say it has happened in previous offices, but not so much in the current one. So,
that's what I'm saying. There was a couple when I started. Yeah. I just, I was like, can I talk to you over here for a minute? And then, exactly.
How do you feel about humming? Like just kind of. Both either humming a song that or just kind of humming atonally to themselves out of sheer happiness.
That is probably equally, if not more terrible than the atonal tapping. Like the tapping, at least, the brain hates an absence of purpose. And so if there's just non-tonal tapping, eventually your brain will start trying to put it to a song or something like that. But if someone's humming, then they've got the song there. There's nothing out there for your brain to fill in the gaps around. You just have to listen to this numbskull going.
and for me, personally, like when I hear somebody humming, like you said, my brain wants to attribute some sort of song to it or something. Something that can kind of put some order to the chaos. And if there is nothing, like if it can't catch a tune, I just go into this spiral of like anxiety where it's like, please, someone just, I don't care how, like, please stop them. Yeah, it puts me into quite a state.
Now, I'm having flashbacks now to something that I had repressed. So thank you for bringing this up.
See, that's what we're trying to do.
Like I had buried this.
We're dredging up
deep in the psyche.
We're trying to dredge up some repressed memories from all this.
And one of my first jobs, I had an office, which was nice, but I kept the office door open because open door policy, etc. I've always been a project manager, and I had a guy who worked literally he was down the hall and around the corner, but he had some sort of chronic sinus issue.
Oh, no.
And you could just hear this dude sucking snot from across the office.
Oh, God.
Just like every minute on the minute, there's just this horrifying, wretch-inducing sonic screwdriver. Just like he's pulling brain meat out and in.
Oh my
but
God.
Then he has to hawk it up. And so there was always this punctuation. It was like you had 2 or 3 of these monstrous toe-curling snorts.
Uh-huh.
And then just, you know, for a good
please
another
tell me
5
he had a spittoon and it went pating.
If it went pating, it would have been beautiful. No, and I actually, he was one of those people who was just so socially unaware that I once had to go into his office and have a conversation with him about a completely unrelated topic, and he did it while I was in there.
Oh my God.
And I just about had to come across the desk at him. Like, it was just so vile. And I get, you know, sometimes it's allergy season. Folks have got the sniffles. It's not exactly the most pleasant thing.
Sure.
But this dude, it was all year round, constant.
Oh.
And it was just unbelievable. And we eventually had to get together and have a conversation with him about it.
Oh, wow. So you actually had like an intervention.
Yeah, there was an intervention had, and we were like, dude, you need to close the door to your office. We have these beautiful offices with solid wood doors. You're going to need to close your door because this is something that is driving everyone on the floor completely crazy. And with the door closed, you could still hear it, but it was a little less like the creature from some sort of horror movie was creeping down the hall.
Right.
Every minute or so.
So, I mean, at least it's good that he had his own office, because I cannot imagine being in the same room with the snot monster.
Oh, yeah.
Just hearing him just like hawking loogies all day, every day.
No, I mean, he would have been probably drowned in one of his own tissues in short order had we been in an office environment.
By someone else?
Yeah, like just...
Do you mean somebody else would drown him?
Yes, exactly.
In his own tissue?
You know, kind of like the whole thing with the chloroform rag.
Oh. Now I'm not saying that's not a fitting end for that, but God, that's the grossest thing. Oh.
Well, how do you think the rest of us feel?
Oh. That is awful. Oh. But no, I mean, so like how far down the hall was this guy? Like, was he like, 5 feet down the hall, or was he like, when I envision hall, like I'm thinking like 40 feet down the hall.
No, I mean, it was a relatively small office, but it was at least 20 feet. Like, if you came out of my door, you would have to go, 5 to 10 feet down and then hook a left at the corner and then go another 15 to 20 feet down the hall to the entrance to his office.
Okay, that is actually impressive.
It was loud. Yeah, no, I mean, if there was some sort of contest for...
most audible snot sucking.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's a terrible competition.
No, I mean, I wouldn't want to have any part of it, but I think that guy would probably have been the champion.
Oh, that's disgusting. That is so terrible. And see, I'm not going to, like, health problem shame this guy. Like, I understand that, everybody... Sometimes you just got to deal. Like sometimes, you're good at your job and something comes along. You're like, I just got to deal with this. And, hopefully other people will kind of give me a little bit of slack to deal with it on my own. Somebody probably should have like said, hey man, have you been to an ENT lately? Like
that was part of the intervention. Like that was, we were like, dude, this is a problem.
Normal people's sinuses do not work like this.
Yeah, no, you've got to get this checked out.
Both for
consult a medical professional.
Both for your health and for ours. Oh my God. No, but that kind of stuff like that stuff will get to me, but it's like doesn't necessarily gross me out. What legitimately causes me to die a little bit every time I hear it is mouth noises. Like mostly chewing and drinking. But my God.
This is where I was tempted to go into the worst ASMR video.
Yes. Oh, I would come through the computer and strangle you. Well, I don't know if it's like some sort of like misophonia or something like that, but for my entire life, I can't even explain when it started. Like, I don't even know. It just kind of always was. But I noticed it when I started like working around other people. I went to like Southern schools for most of my life, and the one thing that your parents teach you is chew with your fucking mouth closed. Like, that is lesson one. Like, don't whip your weenie out in the middle of class and chew with your mouth closed. Like, that is day one of preschool. And so, I'm sitting at the break table, and all of a sudden, this guy whips out a hamburger, and he's going to town, and I'm not going to mimic the sounds that he was making because I would be a party to the thing that I hate the most. But it literally sounded like somebody was slapping a wet wash rag against the wall. Like it was no shit, could be heard across the room. It was the most just physically offensive. Like I felt it. Like I felt each chaw of his ungodly maw. I mean, I had to say something. Like I just was like, "Hey, man, could you chew with your mouth closed?" He's like, "Oh, I am." It's like, no, clearly,
no, you're not.
Clearly, you are not, because me and that person across the room that is physically cringing and trying to, strangle themselves with the phone cord. Yeah, they heard you chewing, and you should not be that loud. And like, I wasn't trying to be a jerk. Like, I wasn't trying to like make the guy feel bad, but at the same time, he didn't know that he was doing it, and he was being defensive, like in denial about the fact that he was doing it. And I think he kind of had that moment of realization where it's like, oh my God, I've been doing this my entire life and I never knew. And so how many people have hated me?
I am the slob monster.
Yeah, exactly. He became the slob. And he worked on it to fix it. But no, those type of interactions happen to me. I mean, I'm not going to say constantly. It's not like I'm like the Ghostbuster of people who eat with their mouth open or anything like that. But like, somebody would be sitting there just like chewing some gum, and they'll be chewing with their mouth closed, and then all of a sudden they'll just have this maybe like minute where they decide to just chaw like a freaking horse chewing some cud.
No.
It's a switch that just flips inside of me. And I go from being this like normal person who, doesn't want to kill everybody to this maniac who will do anything to make the sound stop. Does that, I know you have kids, so maybe it's desensitized you a little bit, but how do you feel on the mouth noises front?
It has not necessarily desensitized me. Like, that is something that we have definitely been working on with the kids, because it doesn't bother me as much as it, say, bothers Britta.
Okay.
Like, she is definitely one of those people who will, you can just see her, like, begin to twitch, and, like, the throbbing vein in the forehead before she just has a small come apart. Because for that very reason, like mouth noises, anything that's small and repetitive, like slurping, if someone's picking at their fingernails.
Okay.
Yeah, just anything that's small, repetitive, and bodily like that. Like, that is the easiest way to get deep under her skin.
Oh my God. No, maybe everybody needs that person in their life that hates those noises to teach them not to make them. But like, you know, there've been a couple of guys that I've worked with who are just nice guys. Like there's nothing wrong with them. Like there's nothing that would lead me to believe otherwise they were born in a fucking barn. But you know, they just decide to make that a thing they do. It's like maybe maybe I'm being an asshole and they're just trying to get the best flavor out of their food. But when they're chawing like a fucking double stack from Wendy's, I don't think they're going for the maximum culinary experience on that one. I think they're just chewing loudly.
You got to aerate. You got to get the air in there to get the flavor experience completely unlocked.
Makes it come alive.
Exactly, it makes it pop.
Yeah, how else would you taste all the preservatives inside of Wendy's food without all that air floating around your tongue?
This means, of course, that smacking loudly while you eat is the next hipster thing.
Oh, God.
Ugly mustaches, terrible glasses, fixies, and smacking while you eat.
See, I was on board with the others. I could deal with those, but this will not stand. But, you know, there are some people that like people that are like really big into like beer, and you know, folks that are into like teas and coffees and stuff like that and wine for sure.
Yeah.
Like with those, like there is I guess some sort of like chemical reason to get a little bit extra air on the tongue. But that still doesn't mean that I want to hear it. Like,
yeah, you should do that in like a hermetically sealed room specifically built for taste testing.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is.
And if you want to, like, you know, just like they used to have like the smoking rooms that were like completely sealed and had like a vent through the top. If y'all want to have a coffee room or a wine room where you're literally just slurping down as fast as you possibly can, just you're all like making eye contact and slurping at each other. Whatever you want to do, go crazy. But just make it, just do it away from me. Like, that's all I want. Like, I'm not trying to chase your bliss, man. Like, you do you. Find your own way through life because it's all one wild ride. So I get it.
All right.
But that doesn't mean that I have to hear you slurp.
My next immediate thought is this is a good business. I mean, if the next hipster movement is smacking while you eat, then we need to serve that market with specially built restaurants and or tasting facilities for people to come and do this in. And what we need to do now is determine what the name of this concept should be.
I have no good name for it because I would just scream at them. Like, just if the name on the restaurant or whatever be is just in quote, like in parentheses, guttural screaming. Yes, that's the only thing that comes to mind. Like, I'm trying to be funny. I really am. Like, I'm racking my brain for something funny to say about that. But I've got nothing because every time I think about it, it just makes me want to die. So you may have to workshop that yourself, Frank. That may be a solo project for you. Unless, of course, this I could get behind. It's a cruise where people that like to slurp or chew with their mouth open all go, and they can just go buck wild all weekend. They can just chew with their mouths open. They can like literally chew ear to ear with other people, and they can just chomp down whatever they want to do. And then on the 5th day of the cruise, when they're supposed to turn around and go back to port, they drive into the fucking Bermuda Triangle. And they're never heard of again.
We hold the boat. The Scuttle and Slurp cruise.
Now that is a business venture I can get behind.
There we go. That might be the hipster name of it. Scuttle and Slurp.
Oh, well, would it be Slurp and Scuttle?
Yeah, because that's the logical. Yeah, I think
that's a
my
logical
soul
order
wanted it to be. We just go ahead and scuttle it before any of the slurping takes place. But I guess
right. Let them have their final few days of. It's not even debauchery. It's just
bacchanalia of slurping.
Yes. Oh, God, I'm such in a state, Frank.
It's well known that Caligula particularly loved slurping. It wouldn't do for you to go to an Asian country. I know that in China, at least in China, and I think also Japan, like loud slurping while eating the noodles is a sign of respect for the chef. So
it absolutely is.
You would just die.
No, I would just. I don't know what I would do because I love noodles. I love, Asian soups. Like I genuinely love them. But no, if I went to a restaurant, like a authentic place in Japan, and everyone was just like, soup in hand, noodle in the other, and they're slurping them both together. I don't know what I would do. That I would just have to be like, this restaurant is not for me. I'll go somewhere else. Do you have a Subway, some sort of sandwich place?
Yeah, I don't know if they would. See, I'm sitting over here. I'm still thinking about definitely at Slurp and Scuttle we're going to be serving ramen. not ramen, like that thick
ramen,
good udon.
Coffee, wine.
Yeah, coffee, wine, like good udon, ramen. Yeah, these kinds of things, definitely.
I'm trying not to die. Oh.
Should we go to an audience question, see if we can clear the palate?
Yes, please, for the love of God. Oh, I'll shake this off, try to be funny.
All right, get centered.
Okay.
This one was sent in by T. Hanks. So, yeah, you got it.
It's good that Tom is a listener.
Yeah.
It helps.
I sometimes have to do collaborative video editing. What should I do when the company or person that is paying me for the video has their own input and they have just terrible ideas? Like, my ideas for their video are so much better, in my opinion, but I have to sacrifice my artistic viewpoint or my way of storytelling to keep them happy so I can keep getting paid. Should I suck it up? Or should I tell them they hired me for a reason and let me do my thing?
Oh, no, this is certainly something that I have dealt with in the past. I maybe not as bad as like true creative types, because I think that like photos, videos, like audio, pure website design, I think is definitely the worst offending of the categories of client. But no, I've had many clients that would basically I'd take their requirements, I would talk to them, we'd have meetings, and things would be going really smoothly. Like we'd have good rapport, and I'd have a clear understanding of what they would want from the product, and then go away, come back a couple weeks later with a proof of concept or a working prototype, and all of a sudden all the things that they thought they said were not the things that they actually said. So, it came down to not from necessarily from a functionality standpoint, because that may be understandable why they would have complaints. But if it's like, I just don't like this button here, this button should be over there, then that creates a little bit of awkwardness.
Right, because they're not necessarily listening to your professional opinion.
Right.
I mean,
it's like, my gut feeling is that this button should be bright magenta and covered in glitter.
I'm liking it. So far, we're building the logo for Slurp and Scuttle.
No, I mean, I think most of my experience has been, from a, like I had a different idea of what their understanding would be, or excuse me, I had a different idea of what the functionality would be based on what they said, based on what they, as opposed to what they actually meant. You worked in the advertising industry for a while, so
I did.
How like I figured that your design guys filled your ear with an earful of similar things.
This happened constantly. And from the design perspective, it was 100% like it suck it up and do what's being asked of you in some respects. Like that's just how it tends to go. Like you walk in and it's beautiful, and then it's just a slow progression of watching it die while being beat to a pulp in committee, and then whatever comes out the other side is just sort of the ragged, tattered remains of what you walked in with.
Right.
For me, I'm a project manager, and so I come at this from a different sort of perspective. One of the things that I've often said is that at the worst of it, and it's often the worst of it, being a project manager means taking detailed records of why you got fired.
Like why your company got removed from the project or something like that?
Exactly. Like taking detailed records about, I said on the 13th that if you decided to change it, we were going to be late with delivery. We're now late with delivery. That's fine. I said on the 26th that if we decided to, compress the schedule and deliver, on time, we would be over budget. Now you're upset that we're over budget. Okay. So, I mean, I think that's one way of approaching it. So I have like this fairly hard line stance on these sort of things. I don't think I would make a very good creative, because I would walk in and be like, all right, this is what you asked for. And then they would try to give me some sort of feedback, and I'd be like, okay, but you're wrong.
But it's like, no, you don't understand how this process works. You asked for something, and I delivered it. And that's the end of the transaction.
Then again, like, even as a project manager, it was me documenting that they were wrong. But then we went ahead and did what it was that they want. So maybe it's just a case of, like, you're going to have to fall back, but you can document it. Maybe put it in the invoice. We could put it in the invoice, because we did have something that we had invented, and I hope no one is ever listening to this that has ever been billed. But we would invoice for the ASC, which was the asshole surcharge. So you just line item in ASC dash changes. And
wow.
that's where you up cost them just for the amount of, and it's a legitimate cost. It's sort of putting a price on the amount of your soul that they have sucked out of your body by doing things that are just mind-numbingly stupid.
Right, and I mean, at least in your case, I mean, if we're working on what. If it stands to reason that the cost of the piece of your soul increases as you have less and less soul left, I mean, how much is a piece of your soul worth? I mean,
millions.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's got to be like the highest exchange rate ever. Like Bitcoin could take a lesson from your ratio of soul to cost. So, yeah, that would be an expensive surcharge, I believe.
It would be. At this point, I'm gonna, like, my soul is encrypted, blockchain, and you got to get a couple of, like, either a Cray or like 1,700 PlayStation 3s linked together, just mining the hell out of it to find any more additional soul for me.
And there's no partial soul, like no partial piece or anything like that. It's like, there are a certain number of chunks of your soul, and they have to be found in one piece in total, or else it's all worthless.
Exactly. And I mean, that shit's been compressed like diamond at this point.
See, and that's the thing about, like, working in a creative field like this, especially one where it's the client at the end of the day, like, what the client asked for and signs on a piece of paper, if they're fine with the things you've warned them about, I don't mean to sound negative towards clients.
Everybody who works in even the remotestly creative field is negative towards clients.
Right, but, not unduly negative towards clients. But, sometimes you can lead a horse to water and then they step in the canyon next to it because, even though you warned them not to. Like,
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them noisily slurp at it?
Oh, God. No, I will only lead them to watering holes that have straws available.
There we go.
And they can quietly drink from it. No, yeah, this is definitely a tightrope you have to walk. Like, it's just this thing that everybody that's in the industry, that is in a client-serving industry, completely understands. But at the end of the day, like, your paycheck is paid by them. They can make all the dumb, stupid decisions they want to. And, if you go with your heart, if you make it the way that you know that it could be, and it's not what they've asked for, and they decide not to pay, like, you're just up shit creek. Like, you have very little recourse unless you've, put something into the contract where it's like, you pay us for the effort, not for the finished product, or something like that.
That's a good contract if you can get it.
Yeah, and I've heard some other folks that have talked about it where it's like, yeah, I'll do work for clients, I'll do whatever they ask, until it is not what I feel is right for this thing, and it's in the contract where, I can do what I feel is right, and they're still going to have to pay me for it.
I was going to say, like, the only other thing I can think of is if you go in the direction of the artiste.
Which is?
Like, if you just make it become part of your professional persona, that you will get into an artistic snit and storm out of a meeting if people interrupt your grand vision. Granted, you're gonna lose a decent number of clients, but you might be able to charge a premium if your shit's
You're
good
creating
enough.
an atmosphere.
You're creating an atmosphere. You're creating sort of they go to you for that, to be told that they are an ignorant barbarian and that everyone knows, that the button should look like this.
Right.
Because T. Hanks has said so.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. I think that's the best case here, is you become one of the eccentrics that are known for, like I said, like just storming out of the room, knocking over furniture on your way out, and then coming back the next day with the most immaculate piece of artwork that's ever been done, and everyone from miles around know that it is the best piece of work that's ever been made. If you are good enough to do that, then I think you have to. Like, you that's got to be your shtick.
I would say that you have to be, like, I was thinking about it, and I was like, but you have to be really fucking good. But one thing that I have learned over the course of the years is actually not necessarily. It's mostly about the confidence. If you have the confidence to just stand up in the middle of a meeting and say, this is shit, your ideas are shit, I am not going to put up with this, I am leaving, and storm out. If you have that kind of confidence, if you can exude that about your artwork, people will be like,
second guessing.
He's so committed to that maybe there's something to it.
Maybe he actually is right.
I'm fairly certain this is how most of high fashion works. Like, it's just someone who...
It almost
who
has to be.
Yeah, someone who just has the passion and the complete lack of self-awareness and the obliviousness to just be like, yes, trash bags are in this season. I'm going to set loose a bunch of terribly thin people to stalk down a runway wearing trash bags, and people go, yes. Brave. So brave.
I mean, I don't mean to follow you too far down this new tangent, but yeah, there has to be a lot of that going on in the high fashion world. Like, some people just get so far out there that, you know, they're not making clothes for anybody. They're making clothes for people and for some sort of species of creature that doesn't exist, but people still, you know, still wear it. Like, you know, it's got like 16 arms on each side, and it's like 30 feet long, and for a human to wear it, they have to wrap like 45 pounds of cloth around themselves just to make it, you know, to where they can fit through a door. That seems to be an appeal. Like, and if somebody says, yes, this is the greatest thing that's ever been created, somebody's going to believe it.
The grotesque collection.
the trash panda collection. Every coat comes with free raccoon.
Actually, I would probably be a lot more interested in the whole fashion scene if someone did have just like their collection for a season involved, and then we stuff a live raccoon into this dress, pants, whatever it is. It's just, you know, it's closed at the top and the bottom to keep the raccoon from escaping, and it's just, you know, someone screaming and writhing as they gyrate down the walkway, the runway.
I mean, not only do you want the raccoon enclosed to get the most experience out of it, you know, out of it clawing and gnawing at your form, but really, if you're paying like $10,000 for that coat, like, you really want to keep that raccoon in there. Like,
well, yeah,
because if that raccoon escapes, you're just a jackass in a $10,000 trash bag.
Now, like, if I'm paying $10,000 for this coat, and maybe it's my, you know, sort of low-class sensibilities, but if I'm paying $10,000, it should come with a couple of replacement raccoons. Eventually, you're going to blow out a raccoon.
No, that's actually a good point, because if it comes with exactly 2 raccoons, they can make their own replacement raccoons.
I guess, if you get the correct raccoons.
I don't want to get too gender normative in here, but yeah, I think you should, you know, have one pile, you know, purely biologically speaking, put 2 in there that can produce another raccoon. That's all we need.
There we go. And then you've got like a whole, yeah, that's a whole different collection. I think that's next year's collection. Like, this year's collection, single raccoon trapped in your pants. Next season's collection is going to involve the family of raccoons trapped in your pants.
No, that's the season after that. So first season is single raccoon. Second season is 2 raccoons fucking wildly in your coat.
Okay, so we got 2 years out where we got a family of raccoons are in there.
You know, as we're talking about it now, I'm just sad that doesn't exist. Not that I would wear it, but I just want to know that somewhere in some sort of fancy restaurant, just somebody's wearing a coat with 2 live raccoons just going to town.
In flagrante raccuno.
Oh, all right. So, in summary, I think
2 raccoons fucking in your pants is the only way to go about this.
And if your clients don't like that, you don't need them.
Exactly.
No, but really, you still got to pay your bills. So
sometimes you got to suck it up. But I mean, at this point, I'm honestly thinking of going into fashion. So,
well, we already talked about your ideas for like Mad Max style fashion for plus size fellas.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm an idea man.
I think it could work.
Should we go to an issue from the internet?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. All right, so this first one, I did not anticipate us going in such a a wildlife fashion, but it works out pretty well. So I don't know who the question asker is. There's no name on it.
It's Secret Raccoon in a trench coat.
Yes, Secret Raccoon in a trench coat says, are pets at the office a good idea or a bad idea, and why? We are hearing more and more of offices are allowing their employees to bring their pets to work, more specifically dogs. So we wanted to ask you, what do you think of this? Would it be okay with dogs in your office? Do you think it would liven the place up, or would it be a distraction? Share. So I think dogs and cats, they could do fine at the office.
I mean, dogs, yes. Cats, no. I have cats. Cats at the office would be terrible.
Well, so they would knock shit off the desk, poop in any somewhat granular material.
Yeah, the office houseplants.
But overall, would they really be too much of a distraction so much that I feel that with some of your cats, like they like attention, but a lot of cats that I know just would rather just you died and left the food bag open.
This is true. I mean, it could go a couple ways. I could see it where, there's cats lounging in large windows peacefully. That's the kind of thing that would be super soothing, but then I can also see trying to be on a conference call while a cat is slowly watching you while they push ever so gently the speakerphone off until it clatters onto the floor.
Well, there might be some things that would have to be permanently affixed to the tabletop. Expensive equipment like that would probably be on the docket. I would be more concerned about having a conference call and them sitting there just licking their jimmies when you're trying to talk to an important client.
Just
it's like and so for the new projections of the third quarter, I think they were pretty strong. Hold on a second. Sheila, could you come get Scruffy? It is licking its testicles in the middle of the table.
No, with cats, you just got to be like, the projections are up in the third quarter. Don't make eye contact. It's better if you just look away.
Just let him finish. Just let him finish.
Yeah, just
finish
let him do it.
What? Jesus. Oh. No, but yeah, dogs would be fine. I love puppies. My only concern is that cats would push stuff off, poop wherever they want to. Dogs don't necessarily poop wherever they want to. They poop wherever it's possible. It doesn't really matter. They're excited. Oop, better pee a little. Oh, got to go outside. Wait, the door's closed. Oop, better poop in the corner on the stack of papers. That's that would be a real danger.
So it's a silly thing, but we're talking about office pets, and I'm seeing a mud crab with a Bic click pin. And it would be great. Muddy brings me a pen. And then I got to fight with him to get it back, but still, it's fucking adorable.
So, what size of mud crab are we talking? Are we talking like Fallout version of mud crab? Because that's the first thing I went to. And I was like, there is no chance that you're going to get that pin from that mud crab.
No, I'm not talking about, Fallout sized. Those will be for the post-apocalyptic office, where I'm already wearing the leather Speedo and hockey mask. I think for today's office, just a crab large enough to bring you office supplies is where I'm going.
Okay,
but not so large as to make off with the iPad.
So, I mean, he would be really good for if you need some coupons clipped or something, just kind of hold it out to him. He'll just be like, sneep.
Exactly.
Sneep. It's like, oh, well, that's very handy, Pete the mud crab. Not so good with the stapling though.
No, but staple removing.
Staple removing.
Right there.
There you go. Yeah, I think that the type of pet is super important. We were talking about raccoons before, but we were talking about raccoons in an environment that they normally would not be happy in, period, which is, enclosed
pants.
Pants or some sort of sweater vest or something. I'd be pretty mad if I was enclosed in somebody else's sweater vest. But no, just like some docile raccoons. Do you think they could be trained to do like small secretarial tasks?
They probably could. I think what raccoons would be best at, from what I know of them, would be in the break room washing coffee cups.
Because they wash their food. And
exactly. You hand them a coffee cup, and they're just like dunk, dunk, wash, wash, wash. It would be great. Give them a little tiny rag.
Well, that would be extremely nice on multiple levels, mostly because I have never worked in an office where people are capable or considerate enough to wash their own dishes. Like, I don't care how many people are in the office, whether it's 10 or 1,000. I have always, in every place I worked, had some day where I walked in and there were like 5 or 6 dirty, nasty coffee cups with like crystallized sugar and creamer on the bottom. And it's not every day, but it happens enough. So having some handy dandy dishwashing raccoons, that'd be primo.
I mean, I'm guilty of this myself. Sometimes I've come in and I've been like, there was coffee in that mug. There's not anymore. There's some sort of new life form.
some sort of detritus.
We may have to kill it before it expands.
This sounds like a job for the raccoons.
So my next thought for a good office pet, parrot.
Okay.
Like an African gray parrot. Those fuckers live to be like 70, 75 years old. They're super intelligent. You can kind of teach them to talk. And what I'm thinking is we just turn them into subject matter experts. I mean, after Polly's been at the office for 25 years, she's going to know more than any of the human employees about just about anything.
Right. And the good thing is she'll repeat it back exactly as she heard it. Unlike most, secondhand SMEs where, they hear kind of what they wanted to hear, but didn't really get to the heart of it. And all of a sudden now you have some sort of terrible explanation that doesn't work.
Exactly. You just go, all right, I think we're going to have to go to the SME.
See, and from the first second you said parrot, like, I get it from a functional standpoint, why that's a good choice. And the longevity, definitely a plus. Most people would retire after like 30 or 40 years, so getting twice as much for a single purchase could not be a better investment. The problem is, office gossip would be pretty damn tough, because you're sitting there talking about somebody else.
That's true. Then you're just like, I wonder what's going on with Marcia from accounting, and it'd be like, all right, Marcia from accounting is fucking Bill.
Oh, Polly, don't repeat that.
Oh, don't repeat that.
Yeah, because you can guarantee that they will, that they'll pick up some stuff, but you can't necessarily control what they learn. Much like children, I'd assume. Yeah,
this is true. And I'm thinking back to the original conversation that we had about noise pollution, and the last thing I need is a 70-year-old pigeon that's just recreating snot-sucking sounds until the end of time itself.
Right, he worked there, decades ago, but his specter through the parrot will never leave.
Exactly. So, all right. I think maybe we'll put the parrot to bed as a good office pet.
Yeah. So anything that doesn't talk, doesn't make noise, go nuts. Like lizards, regardless of whether or not they make good pets, period, because they're pretty temperamental and they require a lot of care. But
venomous
some
snakes,
fairly hardy fish. Yeah, snakes. Also good deterrent. Or if you're doing a some sort of holiday Halloween party and you need to be Jake the Snake, always good to have a spare boa constrictor lying around.
I mean, I'm thinking spitting cobra.
If you really don't want to go into a meeting, just send the spitting cobra in.
Exactly. We could dress him up with a little tie. We'll call him Stanley. Boss comes in like, it looks like projections are, and then, I got my eyes. My.
All right. I now have a new favorite for office pet. Stanley the spitting cobra. Oh my god.
This seems legit.
Well, we clearly will not get a better office pet than that. So, all right. I think it's about time to call it.
All right. Send your questions on workplace or lifestyle issues to questions@WLIcast.com. This has been the Work-Life Imbalance Podcast. I'm Frank Eastman.
I'm Derek Lewis.
I think we're going to have to transfer you.